Part 1. You will hear a woman phoning a clinic to book an appointment and ask about medical services. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning. You've reached Greenfield Medical Center. This is Dave speaking. How can I assist you today?
Good morning, Dave. My name is Ellen Carter, and I'd like to book a doctor's appointment, please.
Certainly, Ellen. Can you spell your surname?
Sure, it's Carter, Carteer.
Okay. Are you a registered patient with us, or is this your first time?
I'm already registered. I had my last appointment a couple of months ago.
That's great. Can I confirm your date of birth just to pull up your file?
Sure, it's the 13th of September, 1993.
I've got your file here. Now, could you tell me the reason for your appointment so I can schedule you with the appropriate doctor?
Well, I've been experiencing some lower back pain for the past week, and it hasn't improved. I'd like to get it checked out.
Do you think it's due to an injury, or is it something that developed gradually?
I think it's gradual. I sit for long hours at work, and it might be related to that.
Understood. In that case, I'd recommend Dr. Martin. He specializes in musculoskeletal issues. Would you like to see him?
Yes, that would be great.
Dr. Martin is available this Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. or on Friday, 14th November at 10 a.m. Which works better for you?
Friday at 10 a.m. works perfectly.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
All right, you're booked with Dr. Martin this Friday at 10 a.m. Is there anything else you'd like to know about the appointment?
Yes, could you tell me how much the consultation will cost?
Of course. A standard consultation with Dr. Martin is $45. If additional tests are required, those would be charged separately.
That's reasonable. Are x-rays or scans available at the clinic, or would I need to go elsewhere for those?
We do have X-ray facilities here. However, for more advanced imaging like MRIs, we'd refer you to a nearby diagnostic center.
Good to know. Are payments accepted on the day of the appointment?
Yes, you can pay after your consultation. We accept only cash. That's more convenient.
Perfect. I also have private insurance. Would that cover the consultation?
Many private insurance plans do. You'll need to check your policy for specifics, but we can provide a receipt and documentation if you decide to claim it.
That's helpful. By the way, does Dr. Martin run on time? I have another commitment later that day.
Generally, yes. He's quite punctual unless there's an emergency. Your appointment should take around 20 minutes.
That works. One last thing, does your clinic follow any specific COVID-19 protocols?
Yes, we still encourage masks in the clinic and provide hand sanitizers at the entrance. You'll also need to complete a quick health questionnaire when you arrive.
Sounds straightforward. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. Anything else I can help you with?
Actually, yes. My husband, James, was considering registering at your clinic. Could you tell me how he can do that?
Of course, you'll just need to fill out a registration form either online through our website or in person at the clinic.
Great, I'll let him know. Thank you again for your help.
My pleasure, Ellen. We'll see you this Friday at 10 a.m. Have a great day.
Thanks, Dave. You too. Bye.
Goodbye.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear a part of a radio program about the opening of a new bookstore. First, You have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 16.
Now, let's go to Sarah, who will share some exciting news about what's happening in the city this weekend.
Well, most of you are probably already familiar with Chapter Pages, the well-known Australian bookstore chain that opened its first branch in Harrington 3 years ago. Ever since it launched, it's been a huge hit with locals and has gained a loyal concessionaire base. Now, the company has decided to expand further by opening a second outlet in the city. For many of you, this is fantastic news, especially if you've found the original branch in the east side a bit too far or inconvenient to visit regularly. This new store will be located in the recently developed Harrington Plaza, situated in the south of the city. The entire space has been designed with a sleek and modern aesthetic, incorporating Chapter Pages' signature color scheme of blue and white. The lighting has been carefully curated to create a warm and inviting atmosphere that encourages you to linger and explore. The first 2 floors are dedicated to an impressive range of books spanning across various genres. Whether you're a fan of gripping fiction, thought-provoking history, or cutting-edge science, you'll find plenty of options to browse through. There's even a large section exclusively for children's literature, complete with colorful seating areas and storytelling corners to engage young readers. The 3rd floor offers a unique experience for visitors. Here, you'll find a cozy cafe that serves artisanal coffee and freshly baked pastries, perfect for unwinding with your new book. Adjacent to the cafe is a creative writing corner, where workshops and authored meet-and-greet sessions will be held regularly. This space has been thoughtfully designed to inspire budding writers and provide a platform for literary discussions. In addition to books, the new store also features an extensive selection of high-quality stationery and literary-themed gifts. You'll discover beautifully crafted journals, bookmarks, and writing supplies, including exclusive designs imported from renowned European brands. One standout feature of this new store is their book ordering service. If a specific title isn't available in stock, they promise to get it for you within 7 days. This is a noticeable improvement compared to the 10-day wait at their original branch, making it much more convenient for readers who are eager to get their hands on a particular book. The store also prides itself on having the largest collection of graphic novels in the city. Their selection includes not only popular series, but also rare and collector's editions, making it a must-visit for comic enthusiasts. Chapter Pages is offering a special promotion on their personalized book recommendation service. This service involves a detailed review of your reading preferences to help you discover new titles tailored just for you. Normally priced at $25, it's available this month for just $15.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
As for the grand opening, the new Chapter Pages store will officially open its doors at 10 a.m. this Friday. To mark the occasion, best-selling mystery author Ella Barnes will be the guest of honor. She'll be cutting the ribbon to inaugurate the store and will also spend time signing books and meeting fans until 1 p.m. This is a wonderful opportunity for fans of her work to get a signed copy and perhaps even chat with her about her latest novel, Shadows in the Wind. The celebrations don't end there. Over the weekend, there will be a range of exciting activities planned. For instance, the first 100 visitors will receive complimentary vouchers for local theater performances. Additionally, there's a creative writing competition open to everyone who attends. The task is to submit a short story of 500 words or less, and the winner will be rewarded with a signed copy of Ella Barnes' latest novel. Since slots for this service are limited, it's advisable to book your appointment early. You can make a reservation by calling 567-6543-7.
That is the end of part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear a lecturer discussing a writing workshop with 2 students and their experiences. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Good morning, Elena and Marco. Thank you both for taking the time to come in today. First of all, congratulations on your excellent results in the second semester. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the pre-university writing skills workshop you both attended last year. Elena, let's begin with you. Which part of the program has proven to be the most beneficial?
For me, the critical thinking activities were the most useful. For example, in my sociology course last month, I had to write an analysis of a case study. Thanks to the workshop, I felt confident in breaking down the key arguments and forming my response. Of course, it was still challenging, but since I had practiced similar tasks during the workshop, I knew how to approach it. I also realized that my essay had a stronger structure compared to some of my classmates' work. That gave me a lot of satisfaction.
It's great to hear. And what about you, Marco?
Well, I found the peer review sessions during the workshop very helpful. At first, I didn't enjoy giving or receiving feedback, but now I see how much it improved my editing skills. For instance, last week, we had a group assignment for our business communication course. I was able to contribute effectively by suggesting ways to make our report more concise and clearer. I do think, though, that I struggled a bit with adapting to the professional tone required in some tasks.
Well, that's interesting, Marco. I think I had a different experience with the professional tone exercises. I found them quite straightforward because we practiced them so much during the workshop.
How did you find the group activities in the workshop, Elena?
To be honest, I didn't enjoy them at the time. I thought they were tedious. But now I realize they prepared me for teamwork in my current courses. In fact, I've recently started to appreciate the value of collaborating with classmates who think differently from me.
That's a good point. For me, though, working in groups still feels a bit frustrating. Sometimes, discussions become chaotic, and I find it hard to follow everyone's ideas. And some students tend to dominate the conversation, so it's difficult to contribute.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
I've faced that too, but I've noticed that when I confidently share well-researched ideas, others listen more carefully. That has made group work a bit easier for me.
That's encouraging, Elena. I think I need to focus more on preparing stronger points before discussions.
Preparation does seem to be key. Marco, is there anything from the workshop that you wish had been covered more thoroughly?
I think the reading component could have been tailored more closely to our specific fields of study. For example, as an engineering student, I didn't find much relevance in reading texts on psychology or history. It was useful for improving general skills, but I would have been more engaged if the materials were related to technology or design.
I felt similarly. In my case, as an art student, it was difficult to focus on reading about economics or science. That said, the strategies we learned for tackling complex texts have been invaluable.
I understand. We do aim to provide a balance, but I'll note that for future adjustments. Was there anything else you think could be improved?
Actually, the time spent on reflective writing exercises might have been reduced. I would have preferred more practice with summarizing research papers.
I agree with Marco. Reflective writing was helpful, but I think developing summarizing skills would have been a better use of our time.
It's very useful feedback. Thank you both for your insights. Now, let's move on to how the program supported your presentation skills.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4. You will hear a researcher discussing ancient coastal carvings found along the Pacific Islands. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 36. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 36.
Good morning, everyone. I've been invited to discuss my research project on ancient coastal carvings found along the shores of the Pacific Islands, a tradition believed to date back over 6,000 years. Over the centuries, new carvings emerged, reflecting changes in cultural practices and artistic styles. Researchers have classified these carvings into three main styles: the oceanic, shell, and contemporary styles. One of the fascinating features of these carvings is how humans are depicted. The earliest carvings, classified as oceanic, date back approximately 6,000 years and portray people engaged in dynamic activities such as building canoes or preparing feasts. These carvings are characterized by bold, angular lines that emphasize movement and energy. In contrast, the shell-style carvings, which came about later, featured more rounded and simplified human forms, resembling the smooth contours of seashells. However, it wasn't until the contemporary period, about 2,000 years ago, that artists began using intricate patterns to depict not just the external appearance of people but also their tools and even cultural symbols like necklaces and headgear. The shell carvings are particularly intriguing because of their distinctive spiral motifs, which are thought to represent ocean waves and the cyclical nature of life. Another interesting aspect is how the carvings illustrate encounters with other cultures. For example, during the contemporary period, the carvings began to show images of foreign sailors wearing hats and boots. However, the artists often left the faces blank, perhaps to symbolize the mystery surrounding these visitors. Size is another distinguishing characteristic. The earlier oceanic carvings were small and carved into portable stones, while the more recent contemporary carvings were much larger, often covering entire cliff faces. The carvings also serve as a historical record of environmental changes over the millennia. During the oceanic period, the carvings rarely depicted fish, which suggests that early islanders relied more on land-based food sources. As the sea levels rose during the shell period, marine creatures like crabs and dolphins began appearing in the carvings, reflecting a growing dependence on fishing. It was also during this time that depictions of tropical fruits became common, hinting at the expansion of farming practices and a shift in diet. By the contemporary period, carvings of elaborate fishing nets and large boats indicated advancements in maritime technology and the importance of sea trade.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 37 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 37 to 40.
One image that has fascinated researchers is known as the tidal spirit. My current research focuses on this mysterious carving, which dates back to the shell period, between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago. The tidal spirit is a depiction of a serpentine figure intertwined with waves. Many believe it to be a symbolic representation of ocean deities. However, my team decided to investigate whether the carving might be based on a real sea creature. The shell period coincided with significant environmental shifts, including rising sea levels that submerged large sections of coastal land. These changes disrupted traditional ways of life, particularly farming and fishing practices. As new coastal areas formed, unfamiliar marine creatures washed ashore, sparking curiosity and perhaps inspiring new art forms. When we looked at 75 examples of the tidal spirit carvings, we saw a lot of similarities to the ribbon eel, a brightly colored sea creature that may have inspired these designs. The long, flowing shape of the eel looks a lot like the curves of the tidal spirit images, which might help us figure out where this mystery figure came from. At the end of the shell period, the dramatic changes in the environment led to an explosion of biodiversity, including new plants and marine animals. It's no wonder, then, that the tidal spirit came to be seen as a symbol of renewal. Even today, the figure holds great significance for the local communities, symbolizing their enduring connection to the sea and its life-giving properties.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 4.